All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they work in your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of ASAP in the Morning. It is your boy Pride, joined by Dustin and Jay. Dustin, how you feeling?
Good, how are you?
Just another day in paradise. I know you got 2 facts for me, bro. Spit them out.
So for all the crap that we want to give Matthew Stafford for being average quarterback and not winning a playoff game, he has won 2 playoff games the last 2 weeks. The Detroit Lions have 1 playoff win in 64 years. So that shows you that he was definitely not the problem in Detroit.
Okay.
And then the other one has to do with Jimmy Garoppolo and kind of the same thing, how we always kind of say that he might be out of San Francisco and this and that. With the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo is 35-15, including 4-1 in the playoffs. The 49ers are 5-24 when Garoppolo does not start.
You know, and I've always said about Detroit is a place where careers go to die, honestly. And I just think that Matt Stafford was always a good guy. He just was in just a terrible situation.
That's why I feel bad for Barry Sanders and Kelvin Johnson, too.
Yeah, the Lions really screwed Barry Sanders up. They really should have let that guy out of his contract and go sign someplace else rather than forcing him basically into retirement because he just couldn't do it anymore with Detroit.
He would have ran for over 20,000 yards, and his record would never be touched.
Yeah.
Probably not. Jay, how you feeling this morning?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing good, man. I'm just really excited for, coming off that, the weekend of football that we had and the highs and lows and craziness of it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this coming weekend where we go from here. And by the way, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, man. It's a sad day, right? It's truly a sad day for 2 individuals who had so much life ahead of them. And to be gone this soon is just unreal.
It's unreal. Unreal indeed. We got a good show for y'all. I'm sorry if I seem a little down. It's just we'll get into it. But more about the whole James Harden thing came out. We'll get into that. Which, when I start telling y'all some of the stuff that's been going on, boy, oh boy, does it get juicy. It's all about Sean Payton leaving the Saints. Is it really the end of him as a coach, or did he just quit to go somewhere else? But before all that, Big Papi, David Ortiz, Hall of Famer. Do you gentlemen mind if I get the floor, please? Is that okay with you guys?
Take it away.
I'm going to say this in the rudest, most disrespectful, unkind way possible. If you believe David Ortiz is not a Hall of Famer, and you do anything sports related, anything, doesn't matter if read sports, watch sports, write anything, stop doing it. I'm going to say it one more time. If you believe David Ortiz is not a Hall of Famer, anything sports related, stop doing it. I've seen a lot of people saying that David Ortiz is not a Hall of Famer, but they don't mention the stats. They don't mention the home run. They don't mention nothing, but they just say he's not simply because of what they're doing to Barry Bonds, which, let me clarify, What they're doing to Barry Bonds is a joke. It's stupid. He should have been a Hall of Famer. As much as baseball hates to admit it, without steroids, the sport is probably dead. I don't know if anyone's ready for that conversation, but if it wasn't for that summer of love where everyone and their mom was juicing up.
But that's the same conversation as Roger Clemens. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? It's ridiculous.
I was gonna touch on that. In a minute.
Here's the thing.
But let's go one step further. Let's go one step further. You tell me the bigger travesty. Why is Pete Rose not as a coach, but why is Pete Rose not as a player not in the Hall of Fame?
Because I'm gonna tell you why. And by the way, but Pete Rose, he's in my Hall of Fame. I don't care what nobody says. But the problem that I have with this Hall of Fame, it's just inconsistent, right? It's weird to me, right? Now, I love David Ortiz, by the way, in memory or in celebration, my Boston Red Sox jersey, right? I love him. Big Papi, that's my guy, right? But we need to stop pretending like he didn't get popped for PEDs, brother. We need to stop this. And again, this is coming from a diehard Red Sox fan. I love David Ortiz. That's my dude. But we need to stop pretending like he himself did not get caught. We need to stop that. He got caught. But you want to know why Roger Clemens isn't in the Hall of Fame? You want to know why Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame? Because they're not nice guys. That's all it really comes down to. Because we need to put this in context. The same people who refuse to vote Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame are the same people who, during his career, while he was playing, said, we have to give him this MVP award. Nobody else. Like, we can't vote for anybody else. They had no problem giving him all his MVP awards. There was no problem with that. None whatsoever. It just gets weird when now it's time to give the man his ultimate validation. It's time to put this man in the Hall, which I believe Barry Bonds definitely deserves, no debate. But again, if you're going to tell me David Ortiz doesn't belong in it, all due disrespect, you're a moron. You're an idiot. Sports is not for you. Don't watch sports. Don't talk about sports. Don't even write the word. Matter of fact, don't even say the word sports. Because I've seen a lot of people say he doesn't deserve it. Oh, well, if Barry Bonds can't get in, that means David Ortiz isn't good enough. Like, stop it. Get some help. Like, what are we doing here? And again, I'm not saying all this stuff. Understand, I'm not saying all this stuff to justify why Barry Bonds isn't in. Because I've been saying this. I've said this before. Barry Bonds should be a Hall of Famer, no debate. And that's like a universal truth. Everyone believes Barry Bonds should be in. And I don't think Dustin, Jay, I don't think any of you guys are going to make any argument that he doesn't deserve to be in, correct?
Mm-hmm. No, right? Absolutely.
So it's a universal truth that he needs to be in. Which again, I agree, that's a travesty. But let's not pretend that David Ortiz doesn't deserve it. Because I've seen people do that, but then when you ask them why, it's always one of two things. It's either because he got popped that one time, or, which again makes you hypocritical, you're as hypocritical as the voters, because you're saying Barry Bonds should still be in, even though he got popped, but then when David Ortiz gets popped, that's the reason he's out. So now these people are just as hypocritical as the voters. So that's one reason. And two, same with Barry Bonds, because Barry Bonds isn't already in, that supposedly that means, oh yeah, he can't be in. Like that doesn't make no sense to me at all. Doesn't make no sense to me at all. And if I'm Barry Bonds, I don't care about the Hall anymore. I don't. Because they're never going to give it to you. The only way they'll give it to him, not if he comes back and plays, not if he goes back in time and puts up better numbers. It has nothing to do with his baseball career. It just has to do with the fact that Barry Bonds didn't care about really talking to the media. He didn't care. He said, that's not my job. My job is to go out there and play. All this extra stuff, talking to y'all, talking to the – he's like, that's extra. That's not me. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here. I get paid to hit bombs, fam. That's it. And when he was out there hitting bombs, he was one of, if not the greatest hitter in the history of the game. No debate. But let's just pump the brakes a little bit and let's just stop, because we need to understand something. Two things is it's possible for two things to be happening at the same time. It's possible for one thing to be right and one thing to be wrong, but them to happen congruently. It is possible for that to happen. That's what's happening here. The good thing is that David Ortiz is in. The bad thing is that Barry Bonds isn't in. Now, Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong, he still kind of has an opportunity to get in.
Yeah, there's a veterans committee that can kind of put you in and overrule the voters. And I think Barry Bonds was at like 71 or 72% anyway. So he just missed that 75% cutoff. So he'll get put in by that veterans committee. It's just a matter of when.
Okay. Because my thing is, it sucks it's taking him this long. As long as he gets in, I don't care. As long as he gets in before he dies, I don't care. Because it's rough. It's rough. People say all the time that the Hall of Fame is kind of losing its value. And I think, and honestly, to me, I don't think it's the Hall of Fame that's losing its value. I think it's the voters.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the voters who are really doing it because they're the ones who decide who gets in and who doesn't, Jay. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know, Jay. Floor is yours. Tell me why David Ortiz is trash and why Barry Bonds is, is a martyr.
And that's the thing, right? The only thing I can figure is that it's all reputation based.
Yes.
It's just reputation based because they both did the same crime, but one's in and one's not. And like you said, like it's been said in several chats, and I agree, is that Barry Bonds is kind of an a-hole. That's the record he has.
But that's the thing. He owns it though. It's not like he just.
I get it. What I'm saying is that Ortiz just has a better PR.
Way better.
I think that's why he gets in.
Right.
And I don't think it's fair by any stretch of the imagination. That's what I'm saying. I think this is all, reputation based.
Which I think is dumb because it's not the hall of who's a good guy. It's not the hall of who had the most interviews. It's not the hall of who went and signed an autograph for a kid the 73rd game after they won 4-5, after you hit a walk-off, you went and signed it for the kid, and after that you went and the next day you did a make-a-wish thing. It's not any of that.
Right.
It's the hall
I'm gonna say this,
how are you at baseball?
Hey, I want to say this. But, and this is where the voters are kind of really losing the validity or even losing credibility, is because when you let Ortiz in and you don't let Bonds in, you know what I'm saying? Now you're losing your credibility.
It really doesn't make any sense whatsoever because, again, and by the way, I'm going to say one name that they love to talk about. This man helped save baseball. Mark McGwire.
Sammy Sosa.
Yeah. Why are they not? Same issues.
Literally the same thing. But what was the difference? Barry Bonds, he was mean. He didn't care. In terms of making him having a relationship with the media, he didn't care. I don't blame him for that. I don't. Because again, you're just there to play ball. That's really it.
Yeah. So now it's looking like the reason why Barry Bonds isn't in is because the voters took it personally. They're making it a personal thing rather than a fact-based thing.
Right. Which I never.
Which again goes to them losing credibility and the Hall losing credibility.
And Jay, there's the part that they lose credibility even more. And of course, Dustin, please, you're smart. Let's be here. check me, make sure I'm right here. These are the same guys who gave Barry Bonds his MVPs.
Yep.
These are the same dudes who Barry Bonds was when his playing career was so phenomenal, so great that they refused to give the MVP to anybody else. And he was still mean in his career. He was still rude. It's not like he just one day, it's not like when one day all of a sudden he got to San Francisco and then 4 years in, all of a sudden he was rude. No, he's been rude since Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's been rude since day one. He came out of his mom flipping off the doctor. This dude has been rude off the jump. So again, while he's playing, he's mean, he's an a-hole, all this stuff. You're still giving him the MVPs. What changed? What did he do? I mean, at this point, Dustin, he must have killed somebody, right? He must have. He must have done something we don't know about. Because, Dustin, it's just getting wild at this point.
And the thing is, like, for like what you were saying, the ones that don't think David Ortiz should be in there, he should be in there based off of his postseason resume alone. And you look at look at what he did in the postseason and look what he accomplished in the postseason. He accomplished more in the postseason than a lot of Hall of Famers anyway. So that alone, that's similar with John Lester. John Lester might not get in on like a first ballot, but John Lester is going to get into the Hall of Fame just because of what he did in the postseason alone. And that postseason success does carry merit to it. But in terms of like Barry Bonds is going to be a 500 homer, 500 stolen base guy with or without the steroids. He was going to be someone that was going to give you a 300 average every single year. That's Hall of Fame worthy numbers right there as it is. And for someone to pretty much take that away from him by just because he used steroids when everybody at that time, for the most part, was using steroids, it's just a slap in the face to him. And if you want to go back to 2004, Barry Bonds had 373 at-bats that season because obviously you take walks into account and walks don't count as an official at-bat. So in 2004, Barry Bonds had 373 official at-bats. He reached base 376 times.
But that's not Hall of Famer. That's not Hall of Famer.
So he actually reached base more than his official registered at-bats that year, which means obviously people weren't pitching to him because they didn't want to give it.
They were scared.
Exactly.
They were scared.
They want to have their ball jacked 500 feet over the fence.
Listen.
Yeah, but the other thing is when they actually threw him a pitch, chances are he was either going to hit it over the fence or he was going to get on base with a double. So to have that kind of like hand-eye coordination to be like, I might see one pitch this entire game, and when I see it, I'm going to do damage.
Listen, man, Buck Showalter walked a run in. If that doesn't make you a Hall of Famer, I don't know what does. Buck Showalter walked a run in. He's like, I ain't playing with this man. Nope. Walk him. Walk in. And they walked a run in because they did not want the smoke Barry Bonds had. If that don't make you a Hall of Famer, then Hall of Famer is just not a word. And by the way, real quick, because Joe said something. Ortiz is a Hall of Fame player, but first ballot only because the media loves him in that speech he made after the Boston Marathon bombing. 100% I disagree. And the only reason I disagree is I say this. If Barry Bonds was in and Ortiz was the first ballot, nobody would have said a word. Now, I'm not allowed to say that because I'm the Boston fan. Like I'm the Boston Red Sox fan. So I'm not really allowed to say that. But it's just the actuality of it. If Barry Bonds was already in and David Ortiz, nobody would have a single problem with him being a first ballot. It's just the fact that Barry Bonds wasn't in. Which again is just a whole nother story of people being sensitive, crybabies. They're just, he was mean to me that one time back in 94. But that's all it really is, bro. Like they're just mad about what happened so long ago. And I guarantee half these voters haven't even talked to Barry since then. So it's just weird. At this point, I would rather fire everybody and then just have an independent voter, like a whole new, like the Hall of Fame voters. I think that should be separate. Maybe it's just me, but I think that should be separate from the voters who give you the MVPs. And the only reason is because the same voters who give you the MVPs are the same voters that ask you questions so that way they can go get stories, so that way they can write their stuff. If you don't give them the stories they want, this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens. Barry Bonds didn't want to talk to nobody. He would say that all the time. Look, I get paid to go. There have been numerous stories. He says he gets paid to go do baseball. Why am I going to sign something for a kid when I could just go down like half a mile and then charge people $70 a pop for him? Like, there's so many stories of Barry saying that. But again, this isn't the Hall of Very Nice people. This isn't the Hall of Very Nice. If it's the Hall of Very Nice, then a lot of other people will be in there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the Hall of Very Nice, Jerry Slomakia, he's going to be a first ballot. Or Saltolomakia. He's going to be a first ballot. Let's be fair here. If it's just the Hall of Very Nice of a guy who just kind of picks people up and kind of applauds, Johnny Damon is the epitome of it. But again, it's not the Hall of Very Nice. It's not the Hall of you're a good dude. It's not the Hall of, hey, bro, you're funny. It's the Hall of Fame. And let's be fair here. This is a hard sport. This is a hard sport. You can fail 7 out of 10 times and still be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
These voters got to get out of their feelings, man. I'm telling you, they got to get out of their feelings, bro. They got to get out of their feelings. I just, again, it's just so weird. The inconsistencies, I ain't with it because again, you can't sit here and say he's not a Hall of Famer when you're giving him the MVP awards, and while he's playing, you're saying this is nothing. This is phenomenal. This is like the best run in NBA in MLB history. You can't say all this stuff, then all of a sudden you don't want to vote for him for his ultimate validation. Doesn't make any sense. They said Bartolo Colon is a first ballot Hall of Very Nice. Yeah, he's a solid pitcher. He's not a Hall of Fame pitcher. If he makes Hall of Fame, and I love Bartolo Colon. I saw his first home run. I saw it live. I saw it when he hit it.
The one in San Diego?
No. Oh, was it in San Diego? The one
San Diego was the first one because he hit the Western Supply Company building and like everybody like jumped out there.
It was the one when he was on the Mets.
Yeah, he was with the Mets, but that was hit at San Diego.
It was in San Diego?
Yeah.
Bro, I remember seeing it. I was really just channel surfing too. I just stumbled upon it. I was like, you know what, whatever. Have some background noise. And then I just remember sitting there. Something told me, yo, sit down, enjoy it. I was like, whatever. Mind you, I wasn't a fan, but I just sat down and I saw him like he swung and it looked like a solid swing, but it didn't look like there was much power in it. So I was like, he popped up. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. Why you guys showing the dirt, the warning track? Hold on. I'm like, no. I was like, whoa. I was like, God, that's crazy. What if Schilling's name was removed, but we have another inductee?
It is removed.
Was it though?
Yeah, Bonds and Clemens and Schilling are officially removed. From
No. He's talking about this year.
No, like his name was on it this year, but now it's removed.
No, that's what he's saying. If his name, and Mitch, if I understand you correctly, I think the question he's asking is, if Schilling's name wasn't on this year, would have we seen either Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens be inducted? I think no.
I think Barry Bonds would have had less percentage of the votes if Schilling's name was off of it.
To be honest,
I think that's why he got more percentage because Schilling's name was on it.
100%. And I wholeheartedly believe this. And then, after this, we'll move on. I'll let you guys have your final words on the topic, and then we'll move on. But there could be 5 spots open, and they could have Barry Bonds' name 5 times. They would intentionally pull an audible and make a 6th selection, like a 6th option saying undecided. That's just how much they refuse to put him in the hall. But Dustin, you got any final words regarding the topic?
I mean, I understand the steroid argument with the hitters and things like that, but you still have to have the hand-eye coordination to hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The one argument that I have is when they talk about steroids for a pitcher. What is steroids honestly going to do for a pitcher? Is it going to make you throw harder? Yes. But Roger Clemens was already throwing 95 to 97, so it's not like steroids would have made him throw 100. Roger Clemens,
and they're acting like when he did the steroids, he was like throwing like $1.15 consistently. No, he wasn't.
No, Roger Clemens already had great command. So steroids aren't going to do anything for you if you can't even locate the baseball.
Exactly.
He was going to win 300 games. He was going to finish in the top 3 in strikeouts all time behind Nolan Ryan and somebody else. He might even be number 2 in strikeouts.
The only thing that steroids would have helped Roger out was maybe on his velocity.
Yeah. But either way,
by like a mile or two, if we're going to be fair.
He was still going to win 300 games. He was still going to win 300 games. He was still going to strike out 4,000 people. He was still putting up Hall of Fame numbers, and he was still going to get there eventually. So why punish guys? Yes, they did something that's frowned upon, but why punish 2 players that had Hall of Fame careers before they even did this? If you want to take away some of their numbers, that's fine. If you want to grade them based off of what they did before they took the steroids, fine. Then do that. Grade them off of what they did before they took the steroids. But they would still have the Hall of Fame resume to do it based off of that.
And now, and Joe kind of said something interesting. Put it on the plaque. I wouldn't mind that.
But did he really cheat though? Because you got to remember back then, everyone wants to say it's cheating. Okay, yeah, it is. But guess what?
You talking about Ortiz?
No, but I'm saying with steroids in general, everybody thinks steroids is cheating. With yes, it is. But back then it wasn't. Back then it was frowned upon, but it wasn't made into as big of a deal as it is now because people knew it was going on back then. But people weren't saying anything because it helped save baseball. It helped save baseball. It helped bring fans back, and it helped make baseball exciting. And nobody was going to say anything back then because of that reason. So why is it such a big deal now that all these players have been done playing for 15 years? Why say it now when you had a chance to say it back then and you kept your mouth shut knowing that you were going to cash in and make money off of these players that were saving baseball?
I don't know, man. They just got to stop being with their feelings, bro. Dude's Hall of Famer. That's really it. I don't know, man. I just don't think it's fair for people to just vote with their emotions. You need to be able to look at it and say, man, this guy, because again, Jay, and I'm going to have the final word before we move on. Jay, this dude would only see about maybe 2 good pitches a night. Yeah. One of them was accidental, and then one of them they were trying to catch him off guard. And he's still getting on at least on base, no problem.
Oh yeah. Here's the deal, man, and this is the thing, right? Once the voters let Ortiz in, which, like I said, he belongs in. The thing about it is once you let Ortiz in, now you have given away all your credibility for not allowing Bonds, Clemens, Rose, and all the rest of them in. You can't have one in for the issue and not let the others in for the same issue. You can't. I mean, that just takes away and destroys all your validity and all your credibility. So with that being said, I'm gonna say free Bonds, free Rose, free Clemens. Hey, set these dudes free. And then while you're at it, go back and free Shoeless Joe Jackson. Damn.
I'm with you. I get it. And honestly, if they want to save the credibility, this is all you need to do. This is straight up all you need to do. Just come out and say we don't like Barry Bonds. I feel like if they were to say that, they would be taking a little less heat. Just a little bit. Because again, Dustin, there was an interesting fact you put in the private chat. Feel free to drop it before we move on.
Yeah, I was in San Francisco during this series. That's how I know this. But there was a 4-game set in 2004 when the Cubs went to San Francisco to play the Giants. Barry Bonds saw a total of 7 pitches over those 4 games. 5 of the pitches he saw, he hit over the fence. The other 2 were doubles. The other 11 at-bats he had were intentional walks. So it was either with multiple guys on base where they were forced to throw to him, and whenever he saw something to hit, he made the pitchers pay.
He would just spit on them pitches, man. He would straight up just spit on them. Buck wild, man. Like I said, I just hope he gets in. And again, here's going to be a conversation we're going to need to have. if the Veterans Association, if they let Barry Bonds in, the voters are going to look probably 3 times dumber now.
They're going to look dumb because the Veterans Committee is going to put him in because a lot of those people played with Barry Bonds. A lot of those people knew like the type of player he was before all this came out. Same with Roger Clemens.
A lot of them walked him. A lot of them. Go ask Buck Showalter. Go ask Buck. Go ask him. Is he a Hall of Famer? Did we walk a run in? Like, come on, my guy.
Joe Torre, who works in the MLB front office, has gone on record saying Barry Bonds should have been in the Hall of Fame from day one. And he works in the MLB front office. He was part of the group that busted all these players for steroids, and yet he says Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are first ballot Hall of Famers.
What a time to be alive. What a time indeed. But moving on. So yesterday, James Harden was saying how he was upset about old, I don't want to live in Brooklyn, which again, traffic, bro. It's New York, brother. Like, fuck, like, what'd you expect? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people who don't even live in New York understand, right? That New York traffic is horrible. They got that. He said he's not a fan of Kyrie Irving's part-time status. More has actually came out. According to reports, James Harden had to be talked off the ledge from almost demanding a trade. According to this report, he went to KD and said he was not a fan of the idea of Kyrie being a part-time player. Supposedly, KD said it'll all work out. And when other guys in the locker room also kind of expressed their concern, James Harden was like, look, man, I didn't sign up for all this extra stuff. I just signed up to play ball, and almost requested a trade before KD ultimately talked him down and said more along the lines of, bro, you're my boy. Remember OKC? We could do this here. Kind of taking him a trip down memory road. Dustin, let me start with you. With all this new information now, you think James Harden, when he goes and tests free agency, you think he still comes back to Brooklyn?
No, I don't. And it's for the same things you said. Like, if he's complaining about traffic, why would you re-sign with a team that plays in the city with the most traffic in the United States outside of the LA freeway? Obviously, if you don't like traffic, sitting in New York City is not the right spot for you. If you're going to sit here and complain that Kyrie Irving is a part-time player, guess what? Get over it, because he's not going to get vaccinated at all. So if that's something that you're not okay with, what's the reason that you're going to stick around? Do you think the Nets are going to trade Kyrie Irving? Because I don't think they're going to. So you're pretty much third one down on the totem pole, because they're going to keep Durant and they're going to keep Irving over you at this point.
Yeah, and Jay, to Dustin's point, he's the third guy on that totem pole, which is kind of, for him anyway, the way he looks at it, he doesn't think that's fair because, which he kind of has somewhat of a point, because you can make the argument that he's better, and you can also make the argument, hey, he's been there, 2 years now? And in those 2 years, who's played more, him or Kyrie? You can make that argument. So James is saying, look, bro, I'm here. Value me. And by the way, oh my God, Anthony Price, I hate you. You're still in my thunder. I hate you. But nah, like it's the reality. Not only do the Sixers want him, the Sixers were going to try to trade him before it got, tried to trade for him before it got Knicks. But now the 76ers are kind of laying off on trying to trade for James Harden because they believe they have a legitimate chance of getting James Harden in free agency.
That's Morey's boy.
It would be great for Philly, because think about it, you can get him, and you don't got to really worry about trading for him, which now opens up the avenue for you to trade Ben Simmons for literally anything. Now you're like, all right, cool. What do we need? A couple 3-and-D guys. We just need a couple more guards. Okay, cool. And now you can just get rid of Ben Simmons for a couple, role players that fit the rotation. And now it kind of gives you a little bit more room. So James Harden, do you think he's the final piece that the 76ers need?
You asking me?
Yeah.
You asking Dustin? Okay, I don't know if you were going to Dustin. Yeah, man. Jeez, man. You put Harden with Embiid. Good Lord, man. That's a hell of a combo, man. That's a hell of a combo right there. And that's Morey's boy, too, man. From back to Houston Rockets days. So I think if anybody could get him, it's going to be Daryl Morey. And I think James Harden loves that. And let's be honest. Going back to the whole Kyrie Irving thing, there was a topic we had a long time ago on this show. Who had the bigger impact, Klay Thompson or Kyrie Irving? And I'm sorry, but Kyrie Irving, this whole vaccination thing is not having the impact I think that, he was supposed to have. You know what I'm saying? If anything, he's more tearing the team apart than he is helping it. And I don't think Harden does come back. And I don't think he should come back. If he feels a certain kind of way, then it's time to move on. And the Sixers are a great destination for that. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, it really is. I think he'll fit. He'll fit pretty solid there.
And honestly, it would give the Sixers an opportunity to trade pretty much Ben Simmons for Harden straight up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The money works.
Harden would take over the point guard role that Ben Simmons would take over, and Ben Simmons wants out anyways. You bring him over to Brooklyn, he'll play. He's not going to mind playing with Kyrie and Kevin Durant over there, and he's not going to be asked to do too much. Honestly, like everyone can say he's the third option. You could realistically say if Ben Simmons got to Brooklyn, he would be the fifth option. Because you have Irving and Durant, who would be your number 1 and number 2. Mm-hmm. Patty Mills is number 3, even though he comes off the bench. He's their number 3 option.
You can make that
when Joe Harris comes back healthy, he's your number 4 option because he can shoot. Then you have Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Ben Simmons, which are kind of that number 5 option where either one of them can give you 15 to 20.
I don't think Joe Harris would be the 4.
Just for his shooting, though. Like they would trust him to shoot more than like putting the ball in Ben Simmons' hands. Like he would be he'd be like the 4th or 5th option in terms of if you need a bucket, who would you go to? It'd be Harden and Durant, or it'd be Irving and Durant first. Then you would go to Mills and Harris because
I would give Ben Simmons. Well, here's the thing. The thing with Ben Simmons, if I'm gonna give him a couple of plays, he needs to. I would sit down and tell him either jump shot, either figure out a jump shot, or work more on your post game, one or the other, because. He's got the size, and he's got.
You got Blake Griffin and Aldridge that can help you with your post game. So
yeah, and he's got a little bit of a post game. You know what I mean? He's got a little bit. If you work on that a little more and expand it, woo, he'll be a problem in the post. But it's just kind of funny because James Harden was put in a situation, and I said this yesterday, and Ron got mad at me, but. You should have seen this coming because his entire career, Kyrie has kind of been a little bit of an oddball, right? He can hoop. Let's not make no debate in terms of talent. He's great, but he looks at things differently than other people, which then makes him act differently than other people. You know what I mean? Like a normal person would say, "Oh, here's a ball," and he'll look at it and go. And then he'll just go on a whole 45-minute rant on how the space-time continuum is just a figment of everyone's imagination and how we're in a simulation. Like he's out there like that,
Isn't he the only number 1 pick in history too that played less than 50% of his team's games?
I think so.
He had me at the world is flat. He
only played I think 11 at Duke that year.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I think he is he might be. I feel like we're forgetting a couple because of injuries, but
they still got hurt during their senior season in high school, where I think they at least played some of their senior years, and Irving went out. Irving went out right away in the summer, and then didn't come back until the NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah, no, you're right, yeah. But yeah, it's just weird, and I said this, I was like, James, you need to understand that when you have a guy like that. You need to understand things could go left at any point.
And you make it work.
This isn't a situation where if you guys disagree on something, you guys can sit down and have a conversation and go from there. Kyrie's not like that. Mm-hmm. He's the type of dude that if you disagree, he takes it almost personal and then wants to try to act like he's the bigger person. But then the inside of him is like, nah, don't do that. So then he's kind of, it's just so bizarre how he is. And he should have seen it. James Harden should have seen this coming. Why he didn't, I don't know, because let's be fair, even if it wasn't COVID, it was going to be something else. Because before COVID, he was taking sabbaticals every single time that he would have a poor shooting night. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, James, you see the writing on the wall. And now it kind of makes you wonder, is it possible that James Harden said something before this? Is it possible that, like, because we got to remember, a lot of the times before that the big three wasn't really playing together, isn't just because of injuries. It also really had to do with the fact there were a few games that they could have had under their belt, a pretty solid number, where it wasn't, no one was injured, nobody was hurt. It was just Kyrie saying, I need to go. I don't want to, I need to take a break, whatever the case may be. It makes you start to wonder, is it possible that James Harden said something and was like, look, bro, I can't do this whatsoever. Like, you guys got to kind of rein him in. And again, James can't go up and talk to him. I don't think he can, because I think there's only one guy on that team Kyrie's going to listen to, and that's Kevin Durant. And I think even then, Kevin Durant can't always get in his head. Even then, Kevin Durant won't always, be able to say, or he won't always be able to get Kyrie to listen. So he's kind of in this weird situation where his hands are tied. And at this point, I think James Harden mentality is, bro, just get me through the season. I think the only way he comes back is if they win. Mm-hmm. I don't even think just get to the finals, though, because I think on a lot of other teams, he gets to the finals in the East. And heck, maybe even the West, too. You put him in Utah? Him, Donovan Mitchell, the 1-2? Come on, now, stop playing. Come on, stop playing.
I think the internal struggles of this Brooklyn Nets team are going to be too much for them to be successful. It's just going to be too much. They just don't have the cohesiveness, or being on the same page. There's just too much animosity. There's too much demons within this team to keep it from being great.
Yep. And that's the sad part about it. Really is. It really is. But again, when you're getting a whole bunch of these guys who, well, I don't want to say a whole bunch of these guys, because let's be fair, I think the main one is Kyrie. It's just kind of, and again, I don't want to say he's a cancer. I'm not going to go that far, but I just think there are times where he does things that impacts other people. And I don't know. I don't know if he just doesn't care or he just doesn't know it.
I think it's the second one. I think it's the second one. I think it's that. I think he does the stuff that he does. I think he knows what he's doing, but I don't think he realizes how much it affects other people, if that makes sense.
I think some of the stuff he does, I think it comes from a good place.
Yeah, I just don't think he realizes it. He thinks it comes from a good place that other people do.
Right, because the thing is even though it comes, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So like it could be, he could be trying to be that nice guy, but there's just ways that he handles it that makes it kind of not good. And the thing about it is, I don't think Kyrie understands that, because I think the way he looks at it is, I'm doing this for this reason. I think he's like, the ends justify the means. I think that's the mentality he rolls with, not really hold on now, I'm trying to do something right. I accidentally hurt somebody else. But then again, the end goal was discovered. So it's just weird. But again, James, you should have seen it coming. Because before all of this, Kyrie Irving was taking sabbaticals. You should have seen it before you went there. When Kyrie Irving, he loved the bubble. He was rocking with the bubble. He was like, yo, this is a great idea. Until he realized he couldn't be in it because he wasn't playing because he was injured. Then all of a sudden, the bubble was bad and they're trying to hold us down and take advantage of us and all this stuff. You should have been able to see all that So it's like now you're there, now you're experiencing it. I don't know. Listen, if he goes back to Brooklyn, they either just want a chip or they're going to pay him a stupid amount of money.
Right.
And I don't think they'll be able to afford the money that he wants in order to make him stay and deal with all of it. Because here's another thing. Who's the calming voice in that locker room?
Durant.
Again, if Durant, who's not a leader, and he came out himself and said, I'm not a leader, that's not me. When Durant, who's not a leader, is your calming voice, and he can't even get, he can't really get this dude to listen in Kyrie, who is one of the main ones you kind of got to juggle, it puts you in this weird, awkward situation where it's like, who's going to talk to him? Steve Nash? Let's be fair.
He can try, but it ain't going to work too well.
They said they didn't even have a coach, man. They hired him as like,
yeah, he's just filling a slot.
He's just there. He's just there. So it's like, it's just interesting. But I don't want to say I feel bad for James because again, bro, the writing was on the wall. You wanted to go to Brooklyn. That's the place you wanted to go. You're now there. Reap what you sow, big fella.
Yeah.
So
he really should have done a little bit more homework before he went there.
100%. Oh, no, 110%. Sean Payton, he left the Saints, which had a lot of speculation going around some inner circles. Some people didn't know whether or not that he left because he wants to go somewhere else or if he just left because his coaching career is done. It's kind of up in the air, although more people are more comfortable saying that they just believe that he's going to take about a month off, see how the coaching landscape changes, and then he'll see if he'll dip his toe in to see how it is. Other people believe he'll take a full year off to kind of relax, see, do I even want to continue coaching and go from there? Other people believe he might consider college. Some say he's done. Dustin, Sean Payton, he's done with the Saints. Does that also mean he's done with his coaching career?
Well, he's far from done. He left the Saints because of the salary cap situation they're in. And I hate to say that, but he pretty much took the easy way out at this point, knowing that the Saints are $62 million over the cap right now. They don't have a clear direction on what they're going to do for quarterback beyond right now, basically, because all the quarterbacks they had got hurt last year for the most part. So if he stayed in New Orleans, he would be in a situation where not only do the Saints have to get rid of $62 million to get under the cap, but what are we going to do for quarterback for the foreseeable future? So they were probably teetering on the verge of a full-blown rebuild mode, which at 57 years old, I don't think Sean Payton wants to be a part of that, which is kind of why I think he got out when he did. In terms of coaching, I think he'll be back this year, and I wrote a column on this about 2 months ago. Chicago Bears are a very intriguing option for Sean Payton because it gives him a young quarterback in Justin Fields to build around. Sean Payton is a Chicago native who grew up in the Chicago area and has plenty of ties to that Bears organization. I kind of find it funny that the day that the Bears hired their GM and Ryan Poles, about an hour after they hired him, Sean Payton stepped away from the Saints. You can call that a coincidence, but now that the Bears have the GM and we've heard the three finalists that the Bears have on their list with Eberflus, Caldwell, and somebody else that I can't remember. If Sean Payton wants to go to the Bears' new GM and be like, hey, I want to interview for this job, do you honestly think Poles is going to tell him no?
Honestly, I think if he says that, I think the job's his. I'll be honest with you, dog.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I just find it could be a coincidence, but I just find it funny how within an hour after the Bears announced their new GM, then Sean Payton says he's stepping away. I don't think he's done at all. I think he was waiting for two situations. I think he was waiting to see what was going to happen with Mike McCarthy, to see if he could come back to Dallas and be the Dallas head coach. And I think being that he's from Chicago and giving him a chance to basically become a head coach one more time in basically the city that you grew up in, it gives him a chance to retire at home when he's ready. And if the Chicago Bears let him interview, that job's his over whoever the candidates are.
So Dustin, real quick, before I send it over to you, Jay. Someone said, "How do you fix the Saints cap problem?" If I'm understanding you correctly, I'm assuming you just say straight up, get rid of everyone. We're straight up rebuilding, right?
You keep two people.
Who we keeping?
Kamara and Thomas. That's it.
Okay, so Kamara, Thomas, everyone else, kick rocks.
Everyone else, you either trade them and get what you can, you trade them for draft picks, you trade them for what you can, or you're going to have to restructure pretty much everybody on that roster to clear space because not only do they need a quarterback, but they need everything else at that point if you shed $62 million.
Okay.
So you don't think they can restructure? You don't think they can restructure Winston to keep Winston because he's still relatively young?
We'll get to that later in the show because I was going to bring up Winston later.
Yeah. I won't touch on that. I'm gonna let you.
Let's just say the Saints. Let's just say the Saints go and draft like Kenny Pickett or the quarterback from Ole Miss this year in the draft in like the second round.
Oh, that Matt Corral dude.
Yeah, you're gonna want Kamara and Michael Thomas there, so that rookie quarterback has something to work with. So even if you go into a full blown rebuild mode, you still need Kamara there and you still need Michael Thomas there. So whoever your quarterback is next year, they have options to throw to. Otherwise, their offense is going to look like it did for the most part this year because Thomas didn't play all year. And we saw how much that Saints offense struggled in the passing game without Michael Thomas. Do you really want to go through that for another 3 years while you rebuild everything that you built to this point?
Just real quick, Dustin, before I don't think the Saints owe Sean Payton any more money.
No, he had 1 year left. He had 1 year left on his contract. He basically said he's stepping away. So by him technically,
since he's quitting, they don't got to pay him.
That money doesn't go to him. It goes back to the Saints.
I just wanted to make sure because I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like, let me just make sure before I say anything. Someone said, can Saints trade Hill even though they just renewed his contract? Yes, they can.
Who's going to take him?
But it's weird because I don't think trading him won't really help their cap space. Because even though they renewed his contract, it's like, what, 3 voidable years at the end to spread the money?
No, his contract's weirded differently. If you remember the way they did his contract, he gets paid a certain amount of money if he plays running back. He gets paid a certain amount of money if he plays wide receiver, and he gets paid a certain amount if he plays quarterback. So if they trade him, whoever picks him up is going to take him for the wide receiver, which is the fewest amount of money that he's getting paid for. They're not going to take him to be a quarterback and give him $30 million. They'll take him to be the wide receiver and give him $11 million. That really doesn't help their cap just because whoever trades for Hill, they can say, well, we'll trade for him, but we're only going to be on the hook for what you paid for him as a wide receiver because that's how we're going to use him.
Crazy.
That is such a weird contract that he's on. It's just insane.
Honestly, that doesn't surprise me anyway. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever, especially considering how bad in cap hell they were at the time. But Jay, Sean Payton, he's gone. So, do you think he takes some time off? You think he's gonna end up being another head coach? Where do you see him? Where do you see his immediate future?
He's coming back. To Dustin's point, he's coming back. I think he takes a year off, and I think he does come back. I think he does. And the sad thing is I wish Dallas had not. And that's why I hate the whole Mike McCarthy thing because I would love to have Sean Payton as our coach. Man, if we had Sean Payton as our coach, you could put us back, I think, and I hate to say because I don't want to get my hopes up, but you could put us back in Super Bowl contention. Not Super Bowl, but definitely past the first round. Let's put it that way. Because I think Sean Payton, I think his play calling, his quarterback development, I think he could work with this offense and the defense, and we could go somewhere.
Yeah.
What's up, Ron?
But I do think, like what you said, it is interesting with the Chicago GM and then him stepping away. That's a lot of coincidence. So if he wind up with the Bears, that wouldn't surprise me either.
Somebody on CBS brought that up yesterday too. That he was whoever the CBS person was yesterday. That when I was watching CBS, they basically had Sean Payton's name thrown out with the Bears last year, saying that the Bears should figure out a way to trade for Sean Payton last year to replace Nagy with him last year. So his name has been linked to Chicago now for a couple of years.
Ron, first and foremost, welcome, brother. Welcome. Talking about Sean Payton. He left the Saints. With him leaving, do you think this is kind of him wrapping up his coaching career, or do you think that he's kind of just doing it? Because Dustin made a good point earlier. Saints are in cap hell, right? So that's a big mess somebody wants to clean up. So do you think it's more along the lines of him not wanting to clean up that mess? Because let's be fair, it's going to be very difficult to clean that up? Or do you think he's just kind of done, fed up with coaching, and wants to ride off into the sunset?
He's muted.
I was saying, the biggest thing that I found out that I just realized is he's young. He's only like 54, right?
57.
57. Yeah, he is.
He's still kind of young.
I definitely don't feel like this is the end of his journey. I think he just was ready for a new experience. Did his time with Drew. Maybe he didn't feel like it was going anywhere. But he can't go to another team. Correct me if I'm wrong, because he had a contract. So like y'all was just talking about, he had to be traded or something. But
no, he can go to another team now because he said he was stepping away. So that last year the contract becomes dead money now, and the Saints basically can just terminate his last year and just take that $5 million off and just keep it for them.
Okay, yeah, that was the only confusing part for me when it dropped yesterday. No, I think he moves on. I hope Coach takes a year away and just get back to a normal life outside of that grind and then come back. But yeah, he would look very sexy on that Cowboys sideline or up in Chicago. So I think he has a lot of options.
He does, but I don't think he goes to Dallas. I think Dallas should be the last place he goes to.
I know. I just said he would look sexy there.
Oh no! Don't get it twisted. Would it be nice to have him with that team? Sure, but we need to remember who owns that team, right? Like Jerry Jones, he don't want a guy like Sean Payton, who when he's wrong, Sean Payton gonna be like, "Homie, you on one, dog. Sit your old ass down, relax." You know what I mean? I got it. I don't think he'll want to deal with that right now. However, to your point, he's not gonna want to go to a Jacksonville. He's not going to want to go to a Giants. He's not going to want to go to anywhere like that because, let's be fair, that's kind of like a work thing. So now he kind of leaves a few teams, right? Whatever they do with Rick Bisaccio is kind of going to determine the Raiders. The Raiders throw their hats in there. Obviously, Chicago's obviously going to be in there because, to Dustin's point, few years now he's been linked to going there. The Vikings. That's another team that would probably love to have him. Miami. There's some solid teams that if you put Sean Payton in there and you give him the keys, would be able to do something. They'll be able to kind of, and I love Brian Flores, right? But if you can go on that run with Brian Flores, imagine what you can do with Sean Payton.
Yeah, and there are reports out there from like local Bears websites that said as of 22 hours ago, the Bears were still in discussions for trading for Sean Payton. And this is before they hired their GM yesterday. So it's no secret that the Bears have interest in Sean Payton and want him.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And again, that's kind of where I'm kind of – but here's the thing. With him leaving now, don't you think it would make sense for him to take a little bit of time?
I do and I don't, just because look at the coaching openings that are open right now. Mm-hmm. There's like really 2 or 3 jobs that are head above the rest of the openings. What happens if he takes that year off and all of a sudden the Cowboys end up doing better than they did this year and at least get to like the divisional round, and all of a sudden all these other teams do better this year, but then you have other openings. Do you think Payton's going to want to go to Washington? Do you think Payton's going to want to go to Carolina? Do you think he's going to go on to go to any of these other situations? Like a lot of the jobs that have opened right now, granted the teams have struggled for the last 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of the jobs that have opened right now are really good jobs. Like Denver, they're a quarterback away from competing. Miami, they have all the money in the world to spend this offseason where they can improve that roster. Jacksonville has a ton of money to spend this offseason. Minnesota, they're a little bit over the cap, but they have plenty of talent where they can contend right away. Chicago, same thing. They have all the talent there. They just need to kind of get that coach in there to be competitive. he might not walk into a better situation than a lot of the situations he has right now. That's why taking a year off is kind of risky for him, because he might end up getting put in even a worse situation than some of the jobs that are out there right now.
Dustin, where do you think he should go? And what do you think the best situation for him is?
Honestly, as much as I hate to say it because they're one of my favorite team's rivals, I think the Bears are the perfect situation for him because he has Justin Fields. He has that young quarterback. I mean, he had Drew Brees for 15 years, but even when he got Drew Brees was 25 or 26 by the time he got him. Justin Fields is 21 going on 22. He can basically set Justin Fields up for 15 years of success, even if he only stays in Chicago as 5 years as a head coach. If he can set Justin Fields up for success, whoever comes in to replace Peyton is going to have Justin Fields basically have all that knowledge Peyton gave him, and then the keys are Justin Fields after that, where no matter what coach comes in, it's Fields' franchise from that point forward.
Love it.
That's interesting. Ron, do you agree with him? You think that should be the best? Let's assume that he's going to go somewhere, this offseason. Do you agree with him? You think Chicago is the place, or is there another place that you're thinking about?
I love Dallas. I love the thought of Sean going there, but I'm like, him coming there will be the same thing as McCarthy coming there. It's like this coach that's proven that won the Super Bowl a long time ago. Is it really going to change anything? So at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to lean with Chicago as well. That just seems like the perfect fit. They've been in trade talks. Both parties have thought about it. Let's make it happen.
Jay McLovin, are you going to complete the hat trick and agree with them and say Chicago is the place?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really want him in Dallas, but I just don't see that's going to happen. It's not going to happen because I don't know if they can make it work. So, I think like just to their points, man. I think, like I said, when the GM was hired, and there's just so much of a coincidence that I could see him in Chicago and developing Justin Fields like he was developing Winston.
So I'm gonna be the rebel.
That would never happen, Pride.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the idiot of the group. Take this ride with me. The Vikings ? I'm just
are we dealing with the Kirk Cousins problem?
I don't think
Kirk Cousins is a problem. I don't think he's. I've said this before. I don't think Kirk Cousins is a problem in the sense of I think he's a solid quarterback.
His contract's the problem.
That's the problem. But I do think a guy like Sean Payton can sit down with him and say, "Look, let's figure something out. We could still get you paid, but we still need to keep some weapons around." Because the problem with Mike Zimmer, and Justin, you would know this better. When they were trying to have those conversations, it was more along the lines of Mike Zimmer sitting down and saying, "Kirk, either you take it or you're a piece of garbage." Like that really how the conversation really went. It wasn't like look, man, if you do us this favor, that money you're giving us, you're still gonna see it, but on the field, we're trying to get you. Mike Zimmer was like, "Oh, if you don't do it, I'm gonna slap the mess out of you." And Kirk Cousins would just laugh and walk out. Sean Payton, I think he will be able to go in and have a conversation, say, "Look, man, we'll still get you paid. We still want to see you get your money. However, work with us a little bit." Look, the Saints, this cap house situation, the Saints should have been suffering that, 2 years ago? Let's be fair, maybe 3. Sean Payton has done a miraculous job to somehow keep the Saints' head just barely over the water, right? And I think he'll be able to do something like that in Minnesota. I really do. I think he'll be able to do something like that. And especially because he's more personable. He'll actually come up to you. And instead of saying, "Oh, you're an idiot for not doing it," he'll say, "Look, this is what I'm telling you. And that money you're saving us, this is where it's going to go to." So now when Kirk Cousins, when he goes, "Okay, I'm going to take a pay cut," but it's not like I'm just taking a pay cut so that way the executives can have a vacation. I'm getting it, and you're telling me what you're going to get with it, who we're retaining, who we're going to go get. I think with all that combined, I think Sean Payton in Minnesota, I think it could make some sense.
It does make sense because realistically, he can use Drew Brees as basically Kirk Cousins' leverage and be like, this is what Drew Brees did when he got to this point and this point like where you are.
Bless you.
And this is what led him to have the success he had for those final 7 years. You have Dalvin Cook, which is like Alvin Kamara. You have Justin Jefferson and Thielen, which are like Callaway and Michael Thomas. And then you have your tight end. So I'm like, our offense is very similar to what we did in New Orleans. It's just that Drew Brees did this to help our defense get to where our defense was. If you do what he did, I'll take this money, I'll invest it back into the defense, which was your problem last year, and then you can get to where you want to be. We can get back to where we want to be. I can see it, and I like that idea, but I just think Minnesota is going to go younger just because they hired Mike Zimmer at 58, and he's 65 now when they let him go. Sean Payton's 57 right now. He'll be 58 next season. I don't know if they go that old again. I think they go younger just because they want to be more innovative. And I'm not saying Payton's not innovative.
Nah, I see what you're saying.
It seems like everybody they're interviewing is just on the younger side of things.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, but this is kind of where I'm going to kind of give a little bit of pushback. Because, yeah, look, Sean Payton, yeah, he's older. But let's be fair here. It's a surprise. Because he runs around like on the sideline like he's Sean McVay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think maybe that energy might be able to kind of be like, you know what? We got the energy, the controlled energy of a young guy, the mind of an experienced guy, the personality traits of a guy you kind of actually want to talk to. I think all that combined might be able to give Sean Payton a chance. But again, this is assuming he even wants that job. Because I think he picks whatever job he really wants.
Yeah.
I think,
here's the other question, though. Do you think Minnesota would even bother to interview him knowing what happened back with Brett Favre, knowing that he was the head coach when all that went on, and then that's how he got suspended for the year, knowing about the bounty gate? Do you think Minnesota's ownership brings him in knowing that he was part of that bounty gate that got Payton suspended for a year? Because it is still the same owners from back then.
Yeah.
I can tell you what, if they bring him into that interview, the first questions they're going to ask is, why did you do it?
And then you know what? Yeah, and I'm gonna be his PR guy. I'm gonna be his PR guy. I'm gonna be Sean Payton's PR guy. And when they ask him, he's gonna look at me and say, "Go ahead, say it." He's gonna be like, "Why are we talking about the past?" Straight up, the speech he's gonna give them is like a boyfriend who got caught cheating. Why we gotta talk about the past? Right now, the present I'm giving to you is for us to talk about our future. Take my hand, baby girl. Let's go enjoy ourselves. Let's go have some fun. Let's go take a dip in the pool. You feel me? You know what I mean? Let me rub some body oil on you. If I'm Sean Payton, I'm finessing. Bro. I'm telling you, I'm finessing. If they ask me why I did it, I'm gonna ask them why we bringing up old stuff. And then if they say, matter of fact, I'll be a cornball. I'll be like, what? You want me to run the same thing for your program? Well, what are we doing here? Wait, whoa, what we doing? Yo, Harrison Smith. Yo, let's here, take this envelope. Take the envelope. What's in it? Don't worry about it. You ended something.
Hey, but whoever takes on Sean Payton, whether it be the Bears or whoever, I mean, they're going to have to give up something for him to New Orleans, right? Like picks or whatever the case may be, right?
No, because Jay, he quit. So since he quit, that final year is now voided.
Yeah.
That was in his contract or something like that? Because why couldn't
when it comes to a coach, unlike a player, if a coach quits, you don't have to give their team anything.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I thought it was still under the same as if you're a player. Okay.
No, it's the same. It's the same. It's like 90% of it is the same. The three main differences, obviously, if he quits, you pay him, whatever. I'm sorry, if he quits, you don't pay him. If he gets fired, they get paid a certain amount that's agreed upon. Usually for a player, it's only if it's like fully guaranteed or whatever. when it comes to the coaches, they actually iron out how much, whether it's all of it, a portion of it, or whatever the case may
Right.
be.
So if the Dallas wanted to bring in Peyton, they would have to fire McCarthy, pay him a certain set amount of money,
whatever's in the contract.
And then they could go after Sean Payton.
Like whatever's in it.
Wow,
Like,
Jerry Jones, you got all that money. Make it happen.
I mean, for all we know, it could be zero.
So
for all we know.
Jay,
it could just be zero, and Mike McCarthy was just happy to be there.
So Jay, here's some clarification on that.
Educate us, Dustin.
So technically, Sean Payton is under contract through 2024. The last 2 years on that contract are team options. So if Payton were to take another job, the Saints could ultimately activate those 2 team options, which means a team would have to give the Saints compensation for the last 2 years of that deal. However, if Sean Payton leaves and the Saints choose not to activate those options, Saints don't get any compensation.
I don't think the Saints will do that. I don't think they would.
I don't think they would either because of what he's done for that franchise. I don't see them doing it.
I think they let him. I think they let him rock. I think they do. And if they do, and if they activate it, you know what I would do? If they activated it, I'd say, all right, cool, no problem. I go back. My first day, you know what I do? I do whatever I can. I tear up Taysom Hill's contract and I give him like a 4-year, $100 million contract. Matter of fact, we're giving Patrick Mahomes contract. Y'all want to mess with me? I'm destroying your cap space, fam. I'm destroying it. I'm gonna do what Dallas gave Dak. I'm gonna give you like some astronomical price to destroy this cap. I don't want to hear a word from nobody. 100%.
And the only reason why I don't see the Saints doing it is because even if they get compensation, it's not going to help their salary cap much. So it's not like they're getting.
It'll be a detriment unless
it's not like they're getting $20 million for like Elvin Kamara or something. They'd get like $7 or $8 million for Sean Payton, which is not going to do much for that cap space anyways, because they're still going to be an issue.
What a time to be alive. That's funny because I brought up Taysom Hill.
Are we hearing any
My bad, Ron. Go ahead, Ron. Take over.
Nah, really quick, Pride. Are we hearing any talks about the Raiders?
The only 2 jobs that have been mentioned with Payton are the Cowboys and Bears. That's it.
Yeah, that's really all that's been saying. But in terms of the Raiders,
they're still hoping for Harbaugh.
Basically,
that's pretty much
that's basically all they do. If I'm not mistaken, they interviewed Rick Bisaccio.
They've interviewed 4 people, and at this point, it's Bisaccio or Harbaugh. They're waiting for Harbaugh, and if Harbaugh says no, Bisaccio gets it by default.
Yes,
basically.
so
don't do it, Jim.
And then also during the talk, they actually had a conversation with Bisaccio. So if Harbaugh comes, they want to keep Rick Bisaccio as a part of that staff. As like
he said he would.
You're right. So it's not like he's just fired or anything. It's just figuring out whether are you the head coach or you're just one of the assistants. And again, to Dustin's point, they're kind of waiting on Harbaugh, which I don't think Harbaugh is going to end up.
I don't either.
That's just me. I don't think he will. But I mean, hey, for all we know, the Raiders kind of
what would make Harbaugh more iconic? Beating Ohio State again or getting to another Super Bowl?
Do you want to know what? Do you want to
making the Raiders relevant for years would make him more iconic?
What? And listen, Linda. Let me know if I'm bugging, right? Because I ain't even gonna lie. I woke up late. You know what I mean? I try to do my line of coke that I usually do in the kitchen before I get on the show. I couldn't do it today, so I think I'm a little off it. What if? And Dustin, I'm gonna give you the floor first because I know you're the one who's gonna be the nicest, and I'm gonna need the niceness. So when Rob calls me stupid, it kind of meshes it out a little bit. Okay? How would you feel about the Raiders letting Rick Bisaccio be the head coach? And then having Jim Harbaugh be the GM.
I'd be all for that. Jim Harbaugh.
See, and this is why I love Dustin. This is why Dustin's my dude. That's why he's my man, bro, because he got my back. Later, he gonna text me. He gonna text me later. Pride, you're crazy, bro. But I only defended you because we was like. So I appreciate you, Dustin. You a real.
He knows what he's doing. He's 44-19-1 as an NFL head coach. He's like 130-60 or something as a college head coach. He knows what he's doing. He's played the game of football. He's coached college. He's coached professional. The recruiting process in college is basically like being a GM in the NFL, where you're always trying to recruit people to come to your franchise. So going from recruiting 24/7 in the college world to basically recruiting 3 or 4 months out of the year during the NFL offseason, Harbaugh would have no issues doing that at all. And there is a lot of people that love to play for Harbaugh.
By the way, I feel like this show has got to say something along the terms of ASAP does not support the use of cocaine. Pride does not speak for ASAP.
And honestly, Pride, but with what you said, I really think that's the only way Harbaugh comes back to the NFL. I don't see him coming back to coach. I see him coming back to be a GM just because he's 57 going on 58 also. And we know how difficult it is for college coaches to spend 24/7, 365 recruiting because that's all you do. Well, if you're good at recruiting, because everybody knows Jim Harbaugh is like a master recruiter, why don't you just do it for 3-4 months out of the year from the end of January through the beginning of May, basically. Build your Raiders roster up and then just kind of sit back and be like, all right, I did my part. Now let's see what you can do.
I mean, and here's the thing, man. Like, and by the way, because Anthony Price says Jerry Jones won't give Sean full control. Sean not a yes man. Ron says you must have never heard of old Jerry. But here's the problem, bro. Guess what? That ain't old Jerry. This is old Jerry. You feel me? Like, what you try to do is go talk about, oh yeah, old. Nah, bro. Nope. I'm telling you, old Jerry back then, you right, Ron. He lit. I'm telling you. But old Jerry, nah, bro. He don't want to hear nothing. If he tell you the sky is purple, you didn't even turn it on, fam. What are you doing? LeBron.
I know it was
I'm about to start yelling at my kid like Bron be yelling at the whole thing. Everybody, bro. Every time THT misses a
I'm legitimate with Dallas B with Sean Payton. Oh my gosh, man.
If Sean Payton without Jerry Jones interference?
Yes. Bro.
You could make that would be something. Because think about it. The main problem Dallas has is just the culture of just we like playing in the regular season, then come playoffs, we always make those weird mistakes we shouldn't be making.
Right.
Sean Payton will be like, yeah, hold on, who wants to? And again, we've seen Sean Payton bench people who've messed up. We've seen, I don't know, Dustin, what'd you say?
I'd lose it. I would lose it if that happened.
Ooh. Dustin, please, go ahead. What you said in the private chat, go ahead.
I basically think Deion Sanders has a shot to be the next Dallas head coach if McCarthy fails.
No.
Oh, you want me to say
I want you to read it verbatim.
Fine.
Verbatim.
Keep an eye on Deion Sanders as the next Dallas head coach if Fat Mike fails next year. You heard it here first.
Yo, I swear to God, Ron hates Mike McCarthy. It's wild. Dallas doesn't have a voice in the locker room. No one holds them, which is why I'm saying Sean Payton being that voice, and again, the voice, like, because think about it. Imagine just the optics from like the team. I'm the head coach. I come in here and immediately Jerry Jones hands me everything and says, I'm going to stay out of your way. Imagine just hearing that. That already makes you go, oh my God, what the hell? What's going on? That already gonna make you. Now imagine 3 weeks in, and the only thing Jerry Jones does is an occasional interview here and there.
Jerry Jones excluded a 3-time Super Bowl winner out of the picture. Shout out, Jimmy. His own kin, his children that's supposed to be taking over the franchise. He even gives them a shade and is like, hold up, son. This is not what we're going to do. Sean is going to come there. Jerry's going to be like, listen here, you son of a gun. This is Texas now. This is Texas. He's not giving full control to nobody.
But here's
unless we give Jerry Jones sedatives and lots of cocktails that keep him inebriated to where he doesn't understand what the hell's going on.
See, but no, that's not even inebriated. Jay's just trying to kill Jerry Jones at this part. At this point, you're just trying to kill Jerry Jones, bro.
Hey, listen. The ASAP does not support the use of violence in any way, shape, or form.
Yo, this whole episode is going to be a PSA of what not to do. But Ron, I've seen people say that. I've heard people say that, but here's my rebuttal to that. Remember, when he cut ways with Jimmy Johnson, this drought didn't exist. So I think with this drought, he's gonna have to start understanding, like, I gotta make changes. Like, Sean Payton he's a hell of a coach. He knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about, and combine that with the drought, I think, and especially now Jerry Jones getting up there in age. He's like, what, 300 years old now? Like, him getting up there in age, like, eventually Jerry Jones is going to have to understand, like, yeah, I got to stop doing this. Especially with, like, the past couple years, he's had multiple health scares because he just gets so riled up, like, about Dallas. And it's like, I think it's time for you to transfer all that to somebody else. And I think Sean Payton would be that guy. I think Sean Payton could be that guy. Now, here's the ultimate thing. Would Jerry Jones do it? That's really the biggest question mark. I don't know if he will. I really don't.
I don't know why you're calling it a drought and not a curse, because that's how I see it. The whole situation cursed Dallas, and Jerry took some big boy steps this year. He invited Jimmy into the Ring of Honor or the Circle to start the season, whatever it is. And I honestly was like, okay, this might be Dallas's year. And we get to see Dak run a QB scramble with 14 seconds left. And no, they're still cursed. But that step right there showed me that Jerry there is a universe where he possibly could bring Sean in there and just give him the keys. But I just feel like he wants his fingerprints on it.
Yeah,
he wants that credit.
And that's why I brought up Deion Sanders too, because what Pride was saying about Sean Payton having accountability, Deion Sanders would hold everybody accountable in that locker room. And he is one of the few people that's not going to, like, be a yes man to Jerry Jones. Like, he will go to Jerry Jones and basically tell him that I'm the coach, I do things my way.
And with the relationship they have, Jerry probably would already know that, which will probably make the pill a little easier to swallow.
Yep.
And probably try to say it in a nice way. Like, look here, Jerry. This is what we need to do.
Yep.
Not really him trying to flex, but him just saying, look, Jerry, this is what we need to do. You know me. You know I'm not trying to do nothing stupid. You know you and I, when it comes to football, we both know what we're talking about. If I'm telling you this, you know I'm not BSing you. You know I'm not just trying to finesse you or do nothing stupid. So in terms of, like, the personality point of view, like them talking to each other, that would actually be perfect. Because Dustin, when you first said, I thought you were crazy.
No, but if you look at what he's
now
doing,
listening to you, I think at this point, I think they should fire Mark McCarthy and do Deion Sanders now.
Because if you look at what Deion Sanders
either one. I mean, exactly. I would be elated. I would probably run up and down the street butt naked.
He said does not support nudity. Does not endorse nudity.
Oh no, we're doing that live.
Hey, listen, I will put a GoPro camera on.
And it's just
feel people's reactions running naked down to the quad. By that way, that's an old school reference.
Can't we just reshoot the Blink 182 video where they ran around the city naked and just have Jay be the only one running?
I love it.
Hey, my Hank the Tank boys, where you going? I'm running to the quad.
Real quick, someone said,
hey, for real though, hey, if they fire Mark McCarthy, that would just be like the best thing ever, honestly.
But here's the thing, again, it does make some sense to Dustin's point, because again, they have that relationship. They're cool. They can actually talk to each other. Jerry will actually listen. That actually makes all the sense in the world.
And look at what he's done at Jackson State since he's been there. He's got
absolutely.
He's got 2 conference titles in 2 years since he's been there for a program that was struggling for over a decade. Mm-hmm. Not only that, they have gone from 1 AA back into the FBS this year. So now they've actually moved up a division because they've had so much success. Given how good of a recruiter Deion Sanders is, he's taking recruits from Florida State. He's getting recruits to decommit from Alabama, decommit from Auburn, decommit from Texas to come join him at Jackson State. So not only has he gotten his team to go from FCS to FBS in 2 years, but now he's taking a lot of these top 100 recruits from bigger schools that are in the same area as he does. There's a reason why Florida State almost hired him as a head coach this past year, because they see what he's doing on the recruiting circuit. They see that he's taking recruits from Florida that would typically go to Florida State to come join Jackson State. I'm not saying he's going to have a ton of success right away, but if he can be even 500 in his first year with Jackson State at the FBS level, you have to consider him to take that Cowboys job, because there's no other coach that took a team that was a 2-win program for over a decade, going 10-0 his first year, 10-1 his second year, and if they go 500 in their first year in the FBS, there's nothing else you can say to what he did.
That's true. Absolutely. I agree.
I'm just looking up something real quick because I just want to make sure what I say. Okay. All right, yeah, so it's official. Byron Leftwich is going to be the head coach of the Jags. They're finalizing a couple extra things in his contract.
That's a good hire. That's a really good hire.
That's where he should be. That's where he should have went all along.
Yeah. Let's see.
The drought is over. We only made the 12 days.
Right.
So
now, like to Dustin's point, now that one's been hired, are the dominoes going to start falling a little bit quicker now?
Yes, because you had Minnesota hire a GM. You had the Bears hire the GM yesterday. Minnesota hired their GM this morning. Raiders are the only team that's left to hire a GM. So now you'll start to see the dominoes fall, just because all the GMs pretty much are hired at this point.
Basically, yeah. Outside of
the Raiders.
The Raiders, but then again, the Raiders are just waiting for one guy at this point. Yeah, like they already have their coach. It's just more like
they have two coaches, but they're waiting for the one they really want. And if they don't get him, then they're just going to give it back to the side.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They're waiting. They're waiting for their wife, but the side chick is there, so that way they can slap her around a little bit. That way, if she needs so attention. Someone said, "Is Brady gone?" I don't think so.
Nah,
but he has to look at Tampa and go, "This isn't a Super Bowl team."
Well,
that's what I've been saying.
No. Yes and no. Because let's be honest here, they did take some injuries.
Bro, they got 23 free agents. Their cap is not the best, and they have to shore up an offensive line. They're gonna have a lot of challenges to try to convince Brady to come back and do another year. I mean, really, they're gonna have a lot of challenges. Yeah, I really think financially. I'm talking about the financial aspect. They're gonna have a lot.
Think about it. The people they had to pay are already paid. So everyone else who's kind of gonna dip was on a 1-year deal. And let's be honest, a lot of the guys they signed on that 1-year deal was on the defense because their secondary was depleted horribly. So, like, of those, what you said, 23?
There's 23, yeah.
23 guys, let's be fair, probably 10 of them, they're going to let them walk easy. Like, one person, definitely, Richard Sherman, he's walking.
Antonio Brown already walked.
You said he already walked?
I said Antonio Brown already walked.
Literally, no, he skipped.
He skipped. He waved
out the door.
Speaking of which, he's now trying to sue the Bucks. Yeah. I was talking to Dustin about this. Jay, I can't remember if you were in here earlier, but we were talking about it. Dustin believes that AB has to have some type of leverage because I asked him just to be on the safe side. When you're suing a team, you can't play in the NFL. Dustin said, nope, you can't. So that makes him think that he must have some type of leverage. I'm in the camp of thinking AB's just dumb as shit, so he's just going to sue because he automatically feels like he's going to win.
But don't you remember what the Bucks? Don't you remember what the Bucks GM said though? The Bucks GM said the day after Brown did that Brown was scheduled for an MRI on Tuesday. So the team already knew that he was battling an ankle injury. So that's why I think that Brown has some leverage, because if the GM of the Bucs said that he had an MRI scheduled for Tuesday, the team already knew the ankle was bothering him. The question is, did they know how bad his ankle really was? And if he tried to tell them how bad it was and they still played him, that's kind of where I think he has that leverage, because all they have to do is replay that film that the GM even said that he had an MRI scheduled. And then they can be like, well, why did you make him play if you had an MRI scheduled 48 hours later? That's the only reason why I think he's got leverage.
And but again, that leverage kind of disappears when the guy's skipping off, doing backflips in the end zone to run off and all this stuff. It makes no sense when after that game, he's out here posting videos of him walking around everywhere, no problem whatsoever. That same appointment, it was done by they set up 2 appointments. I think one by the team doctor and the independent. He has yet to go to either one of them. And then on top of that, he's out here saying he wants to go ahead and play already again, which makes you lose credibility. And then you do quadruple, umpteenth, quintuple it. When the dude went popping last week, or the week before he got cut, he was popping off against the Jets, was loving life. And then when he wasn't getting his touches, was screaming at the top of his lungs, "Hey, yo, I see you targeting your boy," which they caught him on mic saying that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think he's really gonna go through with it. I don't think he will, because when he sees it's gonna take a while, I think he's just gonna say whatever, I don't care, and he's gonna try to go to another team. Go ahead, Ron. Defend him.
I don't even want to get into AB and the slander for him today. I think it's a great lawsuit.
You think so?
AB, go find you a good therapist. I want to give some advice to Brady. And what do y'all think? A lot of rumors of Tom retiring. I understand, Tom. Giselle is telling you to bring that thing home. One more year. Go ahead and call up Shanahan. Sign with the 49ers for $1 million. 1 year. Garoppolo's gone. Give Trey Lance some tutelage. Win one more. And just walk off in the sunset. I heard that the other day. I loved it. How y'all think? What y'all think?
Jay, go first. I got to think on it. I actually got to think on that one.
Well, yeah, him with Ayuk and Debo. I mean, that's and you're right. Elijah Mitchell's run game. I mean, I don't know. Can San Francisco's will they be able to give him enough of a pocket to operate in? That's all. And he's got Kittle too. So he's got a really good tight end over there in Kittle. And you got that defense. So I think as long as and I don't really know 49ers offensive line too well, but I'm pretty sure as long as they give him a pocket to operate in, then that could be a very nice organization for him to tie in with and finish off his career.
I agree.
But if he doesn't make it there, then I start looking at him as a journeyman. But whatever.
No. Wait a minute. Hold on. As a journeyman, how's a journeyman?
Calm down, Pride. I just wanted to get a reaction out of you.
I thought.
Calm down. I just want to start turmoil on the show. And again, we're not advocating violence.
Bro. I was about to say, don't do that, because I will throw you. I will throw myself at this wall. Goddammit! Right?
With the utmost disrespect.
Dustin, that whole idea of Tom going to the Niners, how do you feel about it?
I can see the fit, definitely, but I think this is it. I'm not saying he's going to retire now, but I think this is the last team he plays for. And I see him coming back one more year, because we know how competitive Tom is, and we know the type of competitor he is. If he's going to go out losing, he's going to go out losing in the Super Bowl. He's not going to go out losing at home in the divisional game.
True.
And that's what I said earlier. We were talking about this. Tom, I really feel like, and this is me personally, I would have loved to have seen him just retire last year, throwing the trophy from raft to raft, at the top of your game, the pinnacle, riding off into the sunset. It's a perfect bookend to your career. And for him, to come back and get knocked out in the divisional round after winning the Super Bowl, it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. Not that that's, he's still the GOAT in his legacy, whatever, but it just leaves a sour ending, a sour, tasteful ending. So I do think he needs to come back one more year. I mean, you've already come back, and so you've already kind of eclipsed the perfect ending. So now you really have to try to search it one more time. And I don't
honestly,
think he makes it with Tampa Bay though.
And to your point, Jay, it does leave a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. But it's fine if you get his 7 Super Bowl rings and just use that as a mouthwash. It'll get it out. Tom, do whatever you want. I will be sad if you leave me, Tom. I will be sad.
Why can't the great ones just go out on top? Why do they have to push it one more time?
Why do the great ones have to go, period?
The only great one that basically left when he was on top was Michael Jordan.
Of course.
I mean, he went to Washington for 2 years after that, but that was pretty much because he knew
that's
that
him ending on top.
Well, no, because he knew the Bulls weren't going to be the same after that title. Like, he left Chicago when he was on top, knowing that was probably their last go around.
And then he played 2 years in Washington.
No, he played. I'm just saying he left like a.
I don't look at that like that because
we're not having this conversation.
Trying to help out just a situation that he got himself into being the general manager of Washington.
Right, you can say the same thing with Tom Brady in New England. He left New England when he was on top, knowing the situation the Patriots were going to be in and having to go with a different quarterback.
He still played, though. You know what?
But I'm saying, though, he left when he was on top from the situation that he was in.
I'm not playing this game with y'all. I'm not playing this game with y'all. I know. Jay, you're trying to trigger me like you did yesterday. It's not going to work. No.
I'm just trying to get the vein to pop out. That's all. And I almost had it a minute ago.
You real close, but Andy Bryce says, do you think the 23 players on Tampa are going to come back for 1 year for Brady to do one last ride? I think some will.
Not all of them, though.
No.
Or do you think that Brady would take a pay cut to bring some of these guys back?
He always does.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
If you say, if Tom says, look, this is my final year, I think he's going to want to go out on top. So if it's his final year, I think he'll take like a veteran minimum. I think he'll take that and try to. And again, of those 23 guys, let's remember they signed some of those guys because of injury. Mm-hmm. So they don't have to bring in all 23. Like I said, at least 10 of them is going to dip. At least 10 are gone. At least.
They've got to fix that offensive line, though. That's got to be their big priority, that offensive line.
They didn't they have like 2 offensive linemen that was hurt? Hold on. Yeah, Dustin, go ahead. Go ahead, figure it out.
I just saw some breaking news that I was gonna.
No, I was gonna say, figure it out. Make sure it's legit. I could tell. I saw that look on your face. I was like, oh yeah, 100%.
It's on the Wisconsin. It's on the Wisconsin Badgers website, so I'm guessing it's legit.
Oh, we need some.
Wisconsin Badger football has officially entered the mix to land Caleb Williams as quarterback.
You better not go to Wisconsin, Caleb.
You better not go to Wisconsin.
For what? You gonna go milk some cows?
You're so mature.
USC, UCLA, LSU, and Wisconsin are the 4 programs expected to land.
Ooh, I love it.
Hold on. No. Hold on. USC. Didn't a quarterback just transfer there?
No, Lincoln Riley went to USC.
No, but I swear to God, somebody transferred there.
I don't think it's been anybody.
It was after Lincoln Riley. I'm Googling this shit. I'm Googling it.
Guys, I love LSU. That sounds. Woo.
I'll look it up for. I'll see if I can find it too, because I know Lincoln Riley went there.
I don't think they signed any quarterback.
No, Jackson Dart from USC is leaving the program.
So he's leaving it.
Yeah, Jackson Dart is leaving. He's circled Oklahoma, Mississippi, TCU as his 3 destinations.
I would hate to see Caleb follow Lincoln.
Lincoln over there?
Yeah.
I would like to see Caleb Williams paired with Braylon Allen. The 18-year-old man-child.
Man-child.
I gotta look into him.
Thinking 6'2", 248-pound 17-year-old.
Some big ass kids for no reason whatsoever. I just hate that.
All these GMOs they're putting in the food, man. It's got them going crazy.
And you could we could honestly say that the Wisconsin Badgers are like the Denver Broncos of college football, where they are literally one quarterback away from being a national contender. They have the defense, they have the running game, and they have the offensive line. They've always been missing a quarterback. So you get a guy like Caleb Williams to go there, there's your missing piece at quarterback.
Because hold on, let me see something. Nah, because this is some real. Hold on. Hold on, cause who cares about Georgia?
I guess Wisconsin went 10-2 last year. They had a pretty legit season.
Yeah, and they did that with a terrible quarterback. And their defense was number 2 in the nation behind Georgia.
Oh, okay. So I found out what I was looking at. So JT Daniels, he's in the transfer portal, and one of the teams that he's kind of looking at is USC.
Yep.
Because of Lincoln Riley. He didn't make his decision or anything like that. He's still kind of waiting to see, to see what else, because he's looking at other places. Okay, that makes sense now.
LSU and USC are the favorites because of Lincoln Riley and obviously Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly played good in that Notre Dame.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I saw something about Notre Dame. I don't know if that's. I don't know.
But Wisconsin has emerged as one of the favorites because they can give Caleb Williams, but the other two teams can't, and that's a defense.
Milk? Oh, defense, right. It's gonna be.
He doesn't really need an
offensive line that's not going to get him killed.
Yeah.
And a running back that you can just turn over and give it to like Derrick Henry 40 times a game for like 230 yards a clip.
Average 7 yards a carry.
Relax, because the slander. Relax. Let's all breathe. All right.
Don't be hating on my Braylon Allen.
I'm not hating on him, but you just said something that was like a little. You took a little shot. So
we're gonna take a shot at.
No, I'm not gonna say it. But speaking of quarterbacks, we got a whole bunch of free agent quarterbacks who are on 1-year deals. Guys who are kind of, wrapping up their contracts. Which, again, there's a lot of guys, obviously the Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Russell Wilsons that can get traded, all that stuff. But I want to focus specifically on free agent quarterbacks, right? By the way, this class right here is a godly free agent class in terms of quarterbacks. It is headlined by Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Andy Dalton. Woo!
Wait a minute, Red. Not Roethlisberger. Didn't he retire?
Well, I don't know.
Not officially yet.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You just threw that in there to make us laugh. Okay, yeah, I got it twice.
Didn't he do this whole thing last year about I'm out. I'm coming back. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna believe it until
crying on the bench with Calais Campbell. Big Ben,
bro. He did this whole thing again. So I'm not gonna believe any of it until I actually see next year he's not in the league. That's when I'll be like, all right, now he's retired. Because he's gonna be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna retire, and then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden he's signed to like Jacksonville or the Seahawks or something. Like, he's a weirdo. But I want to focus on a couple young guys under 30. Right? I wanted to spit out a couple guys under 30 to see where do y'all think they're gonna end up. So the first name I'm gonna bring up, Jameis Winston. With all the situation and the entire cap space problem the Saints have, Dustin, let me start with you. Do you think they rock with Jameis Winston again next year?
Yes. and solely because they started 5-2 with him this year, and he was playing very well. Obviously, not having Sean Payton there, things are going to look a little different. But when you look at the other options that the Saints had to use at quarterback, their best option at this point is to bring Winston back for one more year and see what you can get out of him for a full season.
Ron, you agree?
Agreement.
Jay, you doing the hat trick?
Absolutely. I think, like to his point, they want to see if they can get him out of a full year, and I don't think he's going to be nearly as expensive on the cap as somebody else would be.
Okay. All right. I think they'll keep Jameis, but mostly for the point that Jay just made. It'll be stupidly cheap.
Yeah.
Did
he get like 7 or 8 million last year?
If I'm looking at this right, he made 5.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very, very
5.5.
affordable. He's very affordable.
Yeah. It was
He'll probably
5.5.
be in that $5-6 million range again next year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll be in that vicinity again. So I think it'll be kind of nice and relatively cheap. But we mentioned Ben Roethlisberger. If let's say he walks out, another guy who is a free agent, Dwayne Haskins. Ron, I'm gonna start with you. Dustin, matter of fact, Dustin, take the floor, destroy Dwayne Haskins' life. Tell me why he's garbage.
Send him back to Cleveland. Put him in Ohio where he belongs. He's an Ohio State. He's an Ohio State quarterback, and from what we've seen, there has not been many Ohio State quarterbacks that have translated well in the NFL. Justin Fields might be the quarterback that can break that cycle just because he does so much more with his legs than the other ones can do. But if you look at the recent history, despite how successful they've been at Ohio State, they have not transferred well into the NFL. I think Haskins at this point is going to be a backup wherever he goes. So it's just a matter of who do you want to sit behind and where are you more comfortable.
Ron, I mean,
I swear I saw something about Haskins staying with Pittsburgh.
yes.
Yeah.
You think he's staying?
Yeah, why not? He don't got nothing else going on. I don't think anybody else in the league wants him.
Free Dwayne Haskins. Jay McLovin. Dwayne Haskins, he stays with Pittsburgh.
Man, let me tell you something about Dwayne Haskins, man.
Oh my God.
I don't even have faith in him as a damn backup. I see Dwayne Haskins come in the game, and I'm thinking like, damn. Well, let me go ahead and turn on Jeopardy because let's see where this game's going.
Wow.
Hey, listen. Hey, Dwayne Haskins is one of them kind of dudes. It's like, oh, Yeller, man. Just end the suffering. Just stop suffering.
He's not even 25.
Hey, listen, take it behind the barn. Take it behind the barn and end the suffering.
That's crazy.
For real. I mean, he's horrible. He's beyond. He's not even garbage. He's like a hell. I take Johnny Manziel right now over him.
He's better than Mason Rudolph.
Wow.
Easily. He's better than.
You don't know your sports, and I think you should stop right now commentating. Matter of fact, we're going to relegate you to the B line. Ron, take over. Moderate. Let's go.
Well, you're tuned in.
Nah, I'm not letting y'all. Nah, bro. Nah.
Look at that. The vein has come out.
Nope, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't.
The chat line is about to get
No,
heated.
it's not. All I'm saying is this.
Stat guy, let's go, man.
I don't think Dwayne. Me personally, I'm taking Dwayne Haskins over Mason Rudolph every day of the week.
I would do that one, but I think Haskins is like Cardell Jones, where he needs just to go to the XFL to figure things out. Because they have the similar body build. They both came from Ohio State. They both played a similar style, and Cardell Jones didn't pan out, and so far Haskins hasn't panned out.
I don't
Last
think
guy another
like,
guy I wanted to bring up real quick. Phillip Walker. Now, the reason I want to bring him up is, and I'm explaining homeboy from the Panthers. And the reason I want to bring him up is this. Cam Newton is a free agent, right? Phillip Walker is a free agent, which now means the only active quarterback on the Carolina Panthers roster is Sam Darnold. He's the only active guy.
Free Matt Rule.
Can we fire Damian Hernandez for making that comment?
Carr just was a playoff quarterback this year.
I don't even know why. Why would you even put that comment up there? I don't understand.
Because you guys think I'm crazy for saying Dwayne Haskins is better than Mason Rudolph. I just want to put this up there so that way I don't look as crazy anymore. That's all. I just don't want to seem as crazy. I didn't say this. That's all I'm saying. But, Phillip, Mr. Phillip Beckham, Phillip. Phillip Walker, he's a free agent. A lot of people thought he should have been the guy that the Panthers rocked with instead of going to get Cam Newton. And I'm one of those people. I think they should have given him an opportunity. I really do. Phillip Walker, Dustin, you said something in the private chat, so let me start with you. You see him going back, or do you see him going somewhere else?
PJ Walker to Houston for the reason why Houston fans know. During the XFL, Houston fell in love with PJ Walker. Obviously, it was the XFL and it wasn't the NFL, but he would have won the XFL MVP that year. Houston fell in love with PJ Walker, and without knowing what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, why not bring someone in that fans already love? Even if it's for 1 or 2 years where you figure out who's the guy, PJ Walker, I think, would do well in Houston. He'd be loved. The fans know who he is, and he can play. He's been given the opportunity to play, and he's shown that he can play.
Okay. Interesting. Ron. PJ.
Yeah, I'm looking up his XFL stats. It's crazy that the possible MVP of the XFL barely doesn't even really need a job in the NFL. He got his opportunity with Carolina. Got to play a couple of games, and he got by. So I guess he'll be a nice fit in Houston. Why not send him home?
You could never, ever satisfy Ron. Ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, Matthew Stafford's going to win a Super Bowl, and it just won't be enough. It won't be enough.
I'll never forgive the pick six after pick six after pick six, Matthew. Ever.
And it's crazy because every time I bring it up, I'm dumb. So bizarre. Jay McLovin, PJ.
Yeah, I like what Dustin is saying in terms of being a Houston guy, and he is. I like the fact that he's going to come in and basically have very little effect on the cap. I like the fact that Houston's in a rebuild mode, so he basically just kind of gives you a little bit of excitement while you're building up that team. Because let's be honest, Houston has to do a couple of things. They got to make sure they keep that cap healthy for future signings, and they need to make sure that they get as many picks or whatever as they can garner to build up do the draft. So I think he gives you a little bit of validity while you're doing that until you get your quarterback of the future.
Great points.
It's going to be very interesting. Now, we're going to keep it the same in Carolina. Cam Newton. Dustin, let me start with you. He should just retire, right?
No.
But
he should retire. He should retire from being a quarterback. He's big enough, and he's big enough. He's strong enough, and he can be a running back. And we've all seen him play. He looks like a running back more than a quarterback at some times. So at this point, you're not the same quarterback you were 5 years ago. You're not the same quarterback you were 4 years ago. And your last 2 years that you've tried to play quarterback, I think we can all say that it did not go very well. I'm pretty sure at this point, your days as a quarterback are done. But as an NFL player, you are still a good NFL player. You just need to go to a running back position and just kind of be like the bruiser guy. Like 3rd and 1, you need a yard, give it to Cam Newton, he'll give you 4 yards. 4th and goal on the goal line, give it to Newton, he'll give you a touchdown.
Ron, Dustin made a very interesting proposal. He's retiring not from the game, but from the position. Do you think he's onto something?
I feel like that's trying to tell a lion to go be an elephant. That's the Tim Tebow experience. He was so prideful he couldn't even do it.
But Tebow tried to be a tight end, though.
Yeah, years and years later, and that went great. I thought that's what you're going to say about Cam, tight end. I don't think he would. That would be incredible to see. I would watch probably every game just to see how that goes. But I think he should just hang him up. Incredible career. Think his mind is into doing other things.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point, if he were to do that, it would just make a mockery of his career, and I don't think he needs to do that. I think he look, honestly, Cam Newton, he obviously got to the Super Bowl. He had a good career, but I think at this point to do that would just make him look. Sometimes you just got to let the game go. You just got to let it go.
Mockery. That was a good one. By the way, real quick, Jacoby Brissett, he is a free agent. Him to Pittsburgh. Honestly, I think it could be possible. I think it could be. I think Jacoby Brissett is probably one of the guys that's like a few teams' plan B or plan C, where they're gonna try to go and trade for a quarterback, but if they can't get it, they'll bring Brissett in on like a 2-year cheap deal to give him the Teddy Bridgewater treatment, where you're here, you're a bridge guy, you're not the guy for us, but we'll give you an opportunity while they go look for somebody else. So I do think it's possible. Do I think he's anybody's number one quarterback? No, not at all. But I think he's a couple guys maybe plan B, but I think for a lot of teams he's their plan C. Dustin?
I think he stays in Miami. It makes sense just because I mean Tua, has anybody sold on Tua yet in Miami?
I'm not even sold to those hips.
They are. No, they are.
Hips are good.
Well, he got at least one person sold.
Yeah, the owner is sold on Tua, but is anybody else in that franchise sold on Tua?
Probably not, no.
Exactly. So you want to at least have somebody that has a couple years of starter experience under his belt to back Tua up, which Brissett has. And the 1 year that he started with the Colts, he actually played very well that first year that Andrew Luck was gone after Luck announced that he was retiring. Brissett actually played very well that year. So he showed that he can be a starter in the right system. He was under Tom Brady for I think 1 or 2 years also, so I don't know what system fits him, but I just think he's just a good fit in Miami as the backup. Even at another 2 years, that gives you stability in case something happens to Tua, or in case you find out after this year that he's not your guy, then you just have Brissett for 1 year as kind of your bridge quarterback while you draft somebody else.
Okay. Ron, Brissett to Pittsburgh. You liking it?
I hate it. I like Pittsburgh to look at some other options.
Ron is such a hater. Jay, why do you hate this one though, Ron? Why?
Because Pittsburgh made bad decisions at the quarterback position last year, and they could have been a way more effective and better team. They could have advanced in the playoffs, been higher seeded if they made just slight maneuvers. Like, I don't know why Minshew wasn't on their roster this year.
I get it. Like I said, I think it'll be possible.
Is he on your list, Pride Minshew?
Gardner Minshew? Yes, I got 2 more names.
Okay.
And I think you already know who the other name is.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah.
I want Garoppolo in Pittsburgh, just as you're about to go back.
You want Jimmy Garoppolo in Pittsburgh?
I love that.
Why?
I don't know.
Wow.
It seems perfect.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting. Real quick, Jay, do you agree with this one?
No, I think he's not an answer for anything in Pittsburgh. I think he stays in as a backup in Miami because, let's be honest, he keeps it cap friendly for those guys. They don't have to waste any of their cap. It is a backup for Tua, and we all know Tua's made of glass. He gets injured if you blow on him the wrong way. Those hips of his, they're feeble. They're feeble, and so I would definitely say that Tua can go down, and Brissett would be a good backup for them. And he's cap friendly, and I think they definitely have to look for a more viable starter option.
So I got two more names before we wrap it up. So obviously I'm gonna say the first one. Gardner Minshew, Dustin. Where do you see him going?
I could honestly see the Packers making a run at him if Rodgers is done. And I'm not sold on Jordan Love. I'm pretty sure the organization is not sold on Jordan Love. The fans are not
Did
sold
you guys
on.
see? I don't mean to interrupt. Did you guys see the video of him in practice throwing the ball?
Yeah.
And it looked so horrible. And then after it came out, the Packers doubled down and was like, "Nah, he's great in practice." I was like, "What is going on here?" It was horrible. But my man, go ahead, Dustin.
Because, I mean, Minshew started 2 games with the Eagles this year and looked pretty good. He put up good numbers in Jacksonville. Even though the wins didn't always translate, he played very well in Jacksonville with half the weapons that the Packers have. And if they are able to keep Adams, or if they are able to keep some of the pieces they have and have to move on from Rodgers, you're going to want a quarterback that can at least stretch the field a little bit, and Minshew can do that. I think Minshew would be kind of a good 2-3-year option for Green Bay while they can kind of reset and be like, okay, we messed up on Jordan Love. Let's find somebody else, but at least we got Minshew here right now.
Ron, I'm assuming you agree because I see you nodding your head.
Minshew mania. I'm a Minshew guy. I hope he stays in Philly.
So you want him in Philly. Jay, Gardner Minshew, where do you think he should go?
Yeah, first of all, once Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, I think Green Bay's competitiveness is going to go right into the dumpster fire. Because like I said, I don't believe in Jordan Love. So I think they would be smart to maybe go after Gardner Minshew just to tie them over till they can find the answer at quarterback. Because like I said, I really don't believe in Jordan Love at all. I saw that video. I don't believe him at all. So I think Gardner Minshew should explore that option of going to Green Bay if that's a viable option.
He's definitely an NFL starting quarterback.
Okay.
Or at least a guy that can get you to the next level if you don't, if you're not ready for that. He's certainly a lot more than what Jordan Love's going to. They're going to crucify Jordan Love if they put him in the.
Well, the funny thing is, you've seen how Packer fans are, like in the States.
Yeah, they're going to crucify Jordan Love.
And just how weird, like some of them dress. Minshew's the perfect fit in Green Bay with the mustache.
Oh, yeah. That mustache is epic.
Yeah, he's like a football player that would have a sign.
I'm going to say right now, if Gardner Minshew, if his NFL career comes to an end, he's got a great job in the porn industry. I'm just going to say that out there. Great job.
We went from crack to streaking to drinking to porn.
I'm just saying, if you look at him,
that stuff is all tied together and do it at the same time.
ASAP Network does not condone any of the things listed by Ron. Last name, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I had to bring him up because I saw him. I think it was in the Buffalo game. Was it that he was shirtless? God, when I saw that, I was like, "Holy!" The Patriots didn't sign him for like a game, and for our next playoff game, put him in the stands and have him do the same thing. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick is, from now on, I will refer to him as a fan who just stumbled onto a football field. Dustin, Ryan Fitzpatrick, where does he go?
Fitz magic can become Pitts magic.
Pitts magic.
Yeah, I can see that.
Does he not look like a steel worker that just walked out of a steel mill in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's true. He does. And he has that great beard like Roethlisberger. He's like another Roethlisberger look-alike in that helmet.
Putting him with Tomlinson should mellow out some of his lows. You know the Steelers are going to be in the playoff picture, and he would have some incredible toys at wide receiver. He's going to.
And if he doesn't go there, I would like to see him in Minnesota, even if it's as a backup, because Kirk Cousins doesn't have a backup. He doesn't. He's got Sean Mannion and a guy that Mike Zimmer said he couldn't trust. So if anything were to happen,
Kellen Mond still there?
Kellen Mond is still there, but I'm just saying, like, if something were to happen to Cousins next year, if he's still around, they need a backup because Sean Mannion ain't going to get anything done, and we don't know what you have in Kellen Mond yet. So you need at least a serviceable backup, which is why I would like Fitzpatrick there, because exactly what Ron said. You send him to Pittsburgh, he's got plenty of toys in Pittsburgh. Well, he's got plenty of toys in Minnesota too, where if you need to call on him for a couple of games, it ain't going to hurt you to have him there.
Yeah, and honestly, and let me ask y'all a question. I want to take your line, Dustin, turning Fitz magic to Pitts magic, but I kind of want to flip it a little bit. Instead of putting him in Pittsburgh, let's have Atlanta get rid of Matt Ryan to kind of, just trade him, try to get some compensation. Bring in Fitzpatrick there for about like a year. You know what I mean? That way, cheap 1-year deal, try to kind of rebuild something. Have, you know what I mean? Pair him up with Kyle Pitts. How y'all feeling about that?
Fits the Pitts.
I mean, that in and of itself writes itself, right? Like,
I don't know that Fitz magic does anything differently than what Matt Ryan is doing currently. I think it's still. I think it's just maybe a cheaper. He's a cheaper version or cheaper option. It'll be better for their cap value.
That's what I'm saying. It'll be better for their cap value, and then on top of that, since they'll be doing about the same, Matt Ryan still has the nicer name, so you can trade Matt Ryan and get something.
And get something, maybe a 3rd-round pick or a 2nd-round pick or something.
That way, you're getting something for him.
I can see that. Okay, to that point, yeah, then I can see that.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think he goes to Minnesota only for the fact, and it's not just because it's not attractive in terms of weapons, but I don't think he's ready to go to that backup role. I think he wants to be somewhere where he could be of use, like legitimately, like on the field of use. And that's why I think Pittsburgh is. They have the weapons, they have everything they need, and he could go and I think that looks attractive. I think that's probably the most attractive location for him. And like I said, if he was to go to Atlanta, I mean, that would be good for Atlanta if they could work that out. But I think the overall most likely destination would be Pittsburgh.
What about Denver?
No.
I don't think Denver takes that buy on him. I think Denver is trying to get either Aaron Rodgers or they're going after Russell Wilson.
And that's the thing. If they can't get either one, why then move on from Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would keep Teddy Bridgewater if they can't get anybody else. That's just me, though. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let Teddy Bridgewater walk for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and all that really is going to make us do, to be honest, is probably send us a little backwards. At least that's how I look at it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
But it's going to be this free agent, this free agent class for quarterbacks, it's going to be – people are going to be kind of watching a little bit, but no moves are really going to be made of importance until Russell Wilson gets everything situated, until Aaron Rodgers gets stuff situated, until the Niners figure out if they want to move on from Jimmy G or pay him his last year. So there's still a few more dominoes to see. It'll be fun to watch, though. But
truthfully, it's really kind of slim pickings, don't we think? I mean, it's almost kind of like, like I said, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are the two things that really, that really have any kind of value. Everything else is just status quo. Stay with what you got because it doesn't draft that says anything different.
Yeah, and Watson, yeah. If Watson
too,
could,
depending on
Watson would be the wild card. That's right.
Yeah.
We did forget about Watson. That's true.
Yeah, and that, of course, if he settles everything, that's one thing. We'll figure.
Free Watson, put him in Denver with Brian Flores. Let's go, make it happen.
Super Bowl question mark?
in Houston, then.
Jesus Christ! This has been ASAP in the morning. Like we always say, we be going live Monday through Fridays, 10 Eastern, 9 Central in the morning. On behalf of Dustin, Ron, and Jay McLovin, it has been your boy Pride. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. Until then, y'all know what to do.
Can I just say one shout out quick?
Go ahead, Dustin.
I want to shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs fans because obviously they appreciate good football like everybody else does. Kansas City Chiefs donated over $173,000 to the Patricia Allen Fund at the Buffalo Hospital.
Amazing. Good stuff.
Classy organization. By the way, you'll never hear me say that when Greg is here. I'm so glad you said that when Greg was here because he would take it and run with it. But on behalf of everybody, it's been your boy Pride. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central. Talk more sports. Until then, y'all know what to do. Be safe.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365 5, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Scratch at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.